Jaya Shri Vrinde
Vishnu Bhakti Radhe Devi Satyavachai Namo Namaha Vrinai Hai Tulsi Devi Priyai Keshavashacha Vishnu Bhakti Prade Devi Sacha Vachai Namo Namaha Vrinda Jai Tulsi Maharani Ki Jai. We offer our most respectful obeisances unto all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord, who are just like desire trees, who can fulfill the desires of everyone, and they are full of compassion for the fallen conditioned souls. Jai. Fallen conditioned souls. Govinda. Okay. Guess I got to put that on. Jayo Radha Madhuva Kunja Bhakti Jayo Radha Madhuva Kunja Bhakti Gopinana Malaba Girivadadante Gopinana Malaba Girivadadante Yasodhanandana Vraja Jadaranjana Yasodhanandana Vraja Jadaranjana Jamuna Tira Banachari. Yamuna Tera Banachari. Jaya Radhu Madhuva Kunda Bekahute. Joy Radhu Madhuva Kunda Bekahute. Gopi Lana Palaba Yidi Padati. Gopi Lana Palaba Yidi Padati. Yasodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yasodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Manachahuti. Yamuna Tira Banachari. Jaya Radham Padhuva Kunda Bekahute. Jaya Radhu Madhuva Kunda Bekahute. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Paravedikacharya. Also Teta Satashi Shimad, His Divine Grace Abhaya Chalananda Bhaktivedanta Goswami Marshila Prabhupada Kichai. ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Kichai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Kichai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Kichai. Friends, say Kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shidwaita Gadadha Shivasidi Gaur Bhaktivinda Gijay Shri Shri Radhakrishna Gopi Gopadat Shyaima Kunda Radhakunda Giri Govardhan Kijay Vrindavanam Kijay Maturidam Kijay Jagadasami Kijay Yamudamai Kijay, Srimati Tulasi Devi Kijay, Samveda Bhaktivinda Kijay, Gaur Premananda Hari Haribo. All glory is the assembled devotees. All glory is the assembled devotees. All glory is the assembled devotees. All glory is to Shri Guru and Gauranga Srila Prabhupada Kijay. Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Budale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Namani Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharani Nivashesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Videja Tarani. So today we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th Canto, 70th chapter, text 31. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Duta uvacha iti magada sangruda bavad darshana kankshana prapadna pada mulang te dinanang shang vidhiyatam adutuvacha iti mangatta sangruda bhavadarshana kankshana prapana padamulang te dinanang shang vidhiyatam dutuvacha iti magara sangruda bhavadarshana kankshana prapana padamulang te dinanam sham vidhiyatam dutuvacha iti magada sangruda bhavadarshana kankshana prapana padamulang te dinanang shang vidhiyatam. Okay. Ladies. All righty. Duto vacha, the messenger said, iti, thus, Magada by Jarasandha, Sangruda, imprisoned, Bhavat, of you, Darshana, for the sight, Kankshana, anxiously waiting. Prapana, surrendered. Pada, of the feet. Mulam, to the base. Te, your. Dinanam, to the pitiable. Shang, benefit. Vidhiyatam, please bestow. Translation. The messenger continued, this is the message of the kings imprisoned by Jarasandha, who all hanker for your audience, having surrendered to your feet. Please bestow good fortune on these poor souls. You can repeat. The messenger continued, this is the message of the kings imprisoned by Jarasandha, who all hanker for your audience, having surrendered to your feet. Please bestow good fortune on these poor souls. So, there's no commentary by the servants of His Divine Grace of the Prabhupada, but there's a short commentary by Jiva Goswami that we can read, and then we'll speak a little bit. So, Srila Jiva Goswami states, after revealing their suffering through their message, the messenger concluded, "The kings are suffering greatly and are surrendered to you because they are imprisoned in Girivraja. Like children, they hanker to see you. Not only should you free them, you should also show yourself to them. Therefore, you should bestow good fortune on these suffering kings at this time." So again, Duto Uvacha Tima Garasang Da Bhaval Darshana Kankshana Prapana Hara Mulam Te Dina Nam Shang Vidhi Yatam. So Om Gana Tiviranda Shah Gananjana Shalakya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shigurave Namaha. So today I would like to talk about suffering. And to dispel two illusions, that first of all, one illusion is that suffering is caused by karmic reactions. Another illusion is that devotees have karmic reactions. Even new devotees have karmic reactions. Okay. So let's talk about suffering first. So we know, of course, I'm not a Buddhist, but I'm going to cite some Buddhism here. That you have the Four Noble Truths in Buddhism. And the Four Noble Truths in Buddhism are what? Material world is suffering. Yes. Suffering is due to attachment. And give up the attachment, give up the suffering. And basically, of course, they say the method is the path of Buddhism, but we don't say that. And so we find in the Srimad Bhagavatam the same point is made that attachment causes the suffering. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd canto, 7th chapter, text 10, there's an interesting quote. The living entity is in distress regarding his self-identity. He has no factual background like a man who dreams that he sees his head cut off. So, here's Prabhupada's purport that explains this very nicely. A teacher in school once threatened his pupil that he would cut off the pupil's head and hang it on the wall so the child could see how his head had been cut off. You can imagine how frightened a child would be. The child became frightened and stopped his mischief. Similarly, the miseries of the pure soul and the disruption of his self-identification are managed by the external energy of the Lord, which controls the mischievous living entities who want to go against the will of the Lord. Actually, there's no bondage or misery for the living entity, nor does he ever lose his pure knowledge. In his pure consciousness, when he thinks a little seriously about his position, he can understand that he's eternally subordinate to the mercy of the Supreme, and that his attempt to become one with the Supreme Lord is a false illusion. At last, I'm just skipping over. At last, when frustrated, he gives up his material activities and tries to become one with the Lord and speculate with much jugglery of words, but without success. That's the stage, Mayavadi stage. And then Prabhupada again cites this particular example about that, having a head cut off, but in a different context. The experience of suffering in this world, I'm paraphrasing here, is compared to the experience of one's having his head cut off in a dream. The man whose head has been cut off also sees that his head has been cut off. It's actually true. If a person I've never had that dream. Has anyone here ever had that dream? But if you have had your head cut off in previous lives, then you probably would have that dream. If a prophet says, if a person's head is severed, he loses his power to see. Therefore, if a man sees that his head has been cut off, it means that he thinks like that in a hallucination. Similarly, a living entity is eternally subordinate to the Supreme Lord, and he actually has this knowledge with him, but artificially thinks that he is God himself, and although he is God, he has lost his knowledge due to Maya. This conception has no meaning, just as there is no meaning to seeing one's head being cut off. Anyway, and here's another example from the Bhagavatam, 4:29-35, another beautiful verse. Sometimes we suffer because we see a tiger in a dream or a snake in a vision. But actually, there's neither a tiger nor a snake. Thus, we create some situation in a subtle form and suffer the consequences. These sufferings, here's the operative phrase, cannot be mitigated, that means eliminated, unless we are awakened from our dream. Okay, so there's the first point I said I was going to make. The suffering is caused by attachment, identification with this body, and of course, if we are able to identify ourselves with our spiritual identity, then whatever is happening in the body is not suffering anymore. Now, of course, just to clarify so Brother Urmila doesn't get too upset, that yes, you experience pain, but it's not suffering. Is that clear? Yes, a sensation. You experience, the body is having this experience. You can call it pain, you can call it sensation, whatever, but you're not identifying with it. And even in the immature stage, I mean, of course, I'm extremely immature in devotional service, as any of you devotees will say, especially as you get older, you get more immature. So even in the immature stage, I mean, I had this recent experience where I had problems with my Achilles tendon. That's my only weak point. Because you know the story of Achilles, he was dipped into this lake that would give him invulnerability. And his mother who dipped him in this lake held on to his heel. And that was the only portion that was vulnerable. So anyway, so I had that. I experienced pain, but it didn't, oops, I should have tied my buttons. It didn't cause me any suffering. And I'm an immature devotee for sure. Why didn't it cause me suffering? It didn't make me miserable. So even an immature devotee, if they have the right consciousness, what happens to their body doesn't necessarily have to cause them suffering, or it doesn't if they have the right consciousness. Because they will actually understand, not only theoretically, this is not me. I am not this body. That's very theoretical. Of course, that doesn't mitigate the suffering. But this is Krishna's behind it. You know, recently had an experience where someone, I'm not going to tell all the details about this because it's a little heavy. But anyway, someone came back from India, you know, after having ecstatic kirtan. Anyway, it wasn't ecstatic. I mean, let me explain the whole thing. He went on parikrama with us, and he came back. Well, actually, before he came back, he experienced suffering in Vrindavan from all the traffic. There were all the back barricades. And then when he went back, he found that his house had been broken into. And he became very, very disturbed by that. I'm not going to tell you what he did, but something not so good. Because he didn't see Krishna behind all these things. This is my favorite verse in the Bhagavad Gita, goes, Yomam Pashati Sarvatra, Sarvam Chamayu Pashati Tashaham Na Pranashami Sachame Na Pranashati. The one who sees Krishna everywhere and sees everything in Krishna is never lost to him. Nor is Krishna ever lost to him, or is he ever lost to Krishna. So this is really the point. If you can actually see, maybe not with your material eyes, but Shastra Chakshush, that it's Krishna. So getting back to that example of my own injury, or not my injury, the bodily injury I had, I saw it was Krishna. And it made, it didn't make me suffer. It didn't make me happy either. Ecstatic. It's Krishna. Krishna, Tatra Jagat Guru. No, I didn't say that. But the point is that it didn't cause me suffering. Now, I'm not saying, Krishna, don't just sock it to me and see if you can test my statement. But in that instance, it didn't make me miserable. It was just like, Krishna did this. Therefore, I have to make certain adjustments. This is life. This is the material body. Even if someone was a pure devotee, and I'm certainly not, still the physical, material energy causes things to happen to one's body. There's certain facts, like there's laws that Krishna passed, like the law of what? Action and reaction, the law of gravity. You can say, well, it's karma or whatever, but if I decide, of course, that would be the law of stupidity. If I was going to jump from the balcony here and saying, this is Krishna's will. No, it's not Krishna's will, it's my stupidity. But there's a certain law of nature. There's a law of gravity. So you violate the law of gravity, then, or you can't violate the law of gravity. But if you try to violate the law of gravity or challenge the law of gravity, then you're going to be in trouble. Simple as that. Or momentum. Let's say you're driving a car and you drive into a wall. So your body has a certain momentum, and the body, regardless of whether you have karma, regardless of whether Krishna wants it or not, because you are so stupid, you're going to fly through the windshields. Anyway, so the point is the suffering is caused by attachment. If we could learn to become detached, and I'm going to talk about that in a second, but there's the other subject matter I wanted to deal with, is that a devotee becomes free from karma once you start chanting Hare Krishna, even Namabhas. And of course, we do have the example of a Jamil who chanted Namabhas. Of course, he didn't have any offenses when he was chanting, but he chanted Namabhas and he became free from the reaction of his activities. So, anyway, here's an interesting verse in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Let's see, what is the citation? Anyway, several citations in this regard. As the rising sun immediately dissipates all the world's darkness, which is deep like an ocean, so the holy name of the Lord, if chanted once without offenses, dissipates, that's even Namabhas can be like that, dissipates all the reactions of a living entity's, living being's sinful life. All glories to that holy name of the Lord, which is auspicious for the entire world. And then in the Ancha Lila 3:1, 181. This is a beautiful verse about the holy name. Aichi namo diya rumbe, papa adirak shaya, uriya kaila krishna pade hoya premodaya. And the translation is, similarly, the first hint that offenseless chanting of the Lord's holy name is awakened dissipates the reactions of sinful life immediately. And when one chants the holy name offenselessly, one awakens to service and ecstatic love at the lotus feet of Krishna. That's Anjalila. Beautiful verse. So, anyway, there's many verses. Of course, Bhaktivinoda Thakur in the Harinam Chintamani makes it very clear. Namavas chanting eliminates parabdha karma, aparabdha karma, kuta, bija, etc. So, let's see. I have some interesting quotes here. Right. And so then, of course, then the question is, oh yeah, how do we become peaceful, and how do we give up this suffering in this world? And Krishna gives the remedy. Whoops. Actually, several places here. There's a verse from the, I think it's in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. No, it's actually in the Bhagavatam. Anartho pashamam sakshad arhokse vidam sattva sangitam. The material miseries of the living entity, which are superfluous to him, can be directly mitigated by the linking process of devotional service. And then, of course, we have 529, the Bhagavad Gita, Bhaktaram Jagatapasam Sarvaloka Maheshwaram Surinam Sarvabhutanam Gyatva Mam Shantim Richati. That if one understands that Krishna is the enjoyer, Bhaktaram Jagatapasam, of all sacrifices, and the enjoyer of everything, Sarva Loka Maheshwaram, the Lord of all the worlds, and then Suridam, he's your well-wisher, Sarvabhutanam, of all living entities. In this way, you can actually be peaceful. Gyatva Mam Shantim Richati. So, that was several of the points I wanted to make about this particular verse. And then also there was another point, interesting point, that these kings, they were surrendering to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita states that people come and surrender to the Lord for four basic reasons, Chatur Vidaha Bhajanti Mam. And one of those reasons is that they are suffering. They're looking for relief of distress. And there's other reasons, such as one is looking for knowledge, one is inquisitive, and also one wants good old wealth. Not necessarily money, but wealth. So what I learned from that is that Krishna is making the arrangement for these kings to come to the point of Krishna consciousness. And he's making the arrangement by putting them in a position of suffering, to actually bring them to the point of absolute surrender to Krishna. Now, that's one methodology. It's a preaching methodology. Krishna's preaching in that way, suffer, therefore surrender. But usually, as preachers, we shouldn't use that particular methodology in dealing with people. We should use other methodologies and understand that people have desires and needs. And we present Krishna consciousness in such a way to people to accommodate their needs. And of course, the general need that people have is a need, maybe not in America for money so much. In other countries, some third world countries, people join the movement because they're looking for a comfortable situation. Sometimes people come to America getting a religious visa because they're looking for a green card. And when that green card is there, then hasta la vista. So anyway, so people come to Krishna consciousness for various reasons. And what I've analyzed is, as far as in America is concerned, most of the people that I know, especially with the Indian congregation, they're coming because they want some association, well, I wouldn't even say sangha, some social group. And actually, even for the Westerners, it's true, because people are becoming more and more isolated, either due to the media or because they're separated from their families, or they're not the home anymore. So there's a big need for people. So we need to present to people in the Krishna conscious movement a society, dadati pratigranati guyam akyati prichati bhunkte pusyate jaiva, a society where people are engaging in loving exchanges. And then we'll have a lot of people joining our Krishna consciousness movement. I mean, it's really, really an important strategy for us to engage people, have people see that if they engage in Krishna consciousness, they can be happy and have all their needs fulfilled. So anyway, so Chaturvida Bhajanti Mam, people come to Krishna consciousness for various reasons, and so we should utilize that particular understanding to bring people to Krishna consciousness. So, any questions or comments? Yes? Is separation from Krishna. Mm. Right. Physical pain. Yeah, so the methodology, okay, this is a very elevated subject matter, but the methodology is that one has to, first of all, cultivate knowledge of the temporary nature of this world. Okay, I'm sorry. So, Drishta Prabhu posed the question that in many cases, mental or emotional anguish, such as when one loses one's beloved son or father or something like that, is more intense than gallstones. And so, how do you deal with that? Well, my answer to that is, of course, obviously, if we see someone suffering like that, we don't preach to them. What I would do is, sort of like be empathic with their suffering and help them come to the point where they can hear some spiritual philosophy. But that's a different subject matter. But how would I deal with it? What I do personally, this is a personal thing, is I cultivate in my mind and read through the reading the knowledge of the temporary nature of this world. I mean, every day, even this morning, I was thinking like that. When you get older, it tends to precipitate that sort of thought pattern. I was thinking, I'm so attached. I got all these things here, but I'm not going to be here in a few years. Not going to be, so I approach the world in that particular way, and that helps me personally deal with things that will happen, and they will happen. And frankly, actually, my disciples have taught me that anything that could happen will happen. Anything that anything that you couldn't imagine would happen happens. I mean, really, it really does. So it helps you develop a healthy sense of detachment. And certainly, emotions are experienced. I mean, I could say, just all I can do is speak from personal experience. I can say that I do experience emotions, but at the same time, there's a part of me, which is probably the spiritual part, who sees those emotions, and I do experience emotions, and I do go through emotional processes, obviously, but sees those emotions from a Shastric perspective. I still might cry if I lost, let's say if one of my beloved disciples passes away, which happens about every week. Then I still might cry, might feel sorrow, but it's not suffering. It's the emotional. I mean, it's hard to explain what I'm talking about, isn't it? You feel the pain, just like I did with my foot. You feel the anxiety, the distress, the sorrow, but it's not suffering. Because they're seeing things from a higher spiritual perspective and understanding. That's the nature of this world. Yeah, that's what we read regularly. Yeah, we cultivate spiritual understanding and attachment to Krishna. We cultivate this attachment to Krishna because that's the permanent thing. Krishna, his names, association of devotees, hopefully that's permanent. Krishna's service, life after life. We have the bedrock, the foundation of things that will not go away. I mean, that's the way I look at it. That I have devotional service. Somehow, by Prabhupada's mercy, I know that in my next life I'm going to be engaged in devotional service. And I know that I'll have the opportunity to chant Hare Krishna in my next life. And that gives me the security. When one has security, thank you for asking the question because it's causing me to think, which is very seldom. But when one has a security of knowing that ultimately everything is going to be all right, then one can deal with these situations. And it won't be distress. It'll be painful, but it won't be distressful. You can go to someone, let's say someone's not a devotee, and someone's crying, and you tell them, because they lost their beloved, and say, everything will be all right. It doesn't make sense to them. But for someone who has been cultivating Krishna consciousness by Srila Prabhupada's mercy, even though one may be still on the neophyte platform like me, there's that security, there's that foundation, there's that bedrock down there that enables one to, I hate to use the word process it, but to connect to Krishna in such a way that it doesn't devastate one. It doesn't cause one ultimately to suffer. Does that answer the question? Yeah, I'm sorry. Yes, Mother Irma, you have a question. Yeah.
You might have to pause your conversation while the truck is
Mm-hmm.
going. So sometimes when there's extreme emotional distress, allow those processes in your body, but at the same simultaneously you're the observer.
Yeah.
And it's not that you can stop the process of grieving that's going on in the body and mind, but you at the same time know it's not you. It's just sort of this interesting process that you're observing that my mind and body is going through this.
Yeah. That's actually That's actually the point. You're the observer. And you have the foundation of the bedrock of your understanding of Krishna consciousness. Yeah, they still go through it. Yeah, I mean, I can't say that my foot didn't cause pain.
Yeah, Robert talks about that nicely in Purport 14, 22, 25,
Mm.
that as long as we have a body and mind can be influenced by emotes and go through stuff, but we have to just be a neutral observer
Yeah,
at the same time. And it's a really fascinating.
yeah. Well, I don't want too many fascinating experiences. I've had enough fascinating. Yeah, it's going to happen. It's going to happen, and we have to go through these experiences. You know, there's no way out of it. Yeah.
I would say that if we come to understand the principle of the nature of Krishna, that is perfect, that is loving,
Yeah.
that everything that happens is behind everything that happens
Yes, exactly.
for our benefit,
Exactly.
especially the benefit of those who are aspiring to recognize the Supreme Lord. And then that understanding actually mitigates some of the sorrow.
Yes. Yes, actually, just another quote. Like, there's a statement: if you say to Krishna one time, "From this day forward, I'm yours," Krishna takes charge of you at that point. Really?
Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam
Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Enam Kanvandam Maravindadalaya Taksham Bharavatam Samasitam Buddhasundarangam Kandar Bhagom Vidamaniya Vishesha Shobha
Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami
Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Angani Asa Sakalen Priya Priti Manti Vasyanti Panti Kayanti Chiram Naganti Ananda Chinmaya Sadhu Jala
Namaste. Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namaste. Namaste, Saraswati Devi, Gaurani Machar, Nivesesha, Shunirade, Paschajane, Zatarane. Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Brahmanachananda Sri Advaita Gadada Siva Sati Gauracturana Krishna Chaitanya Shri Krishna Nirana Prabhupada Dvaita Gadada Siva Sati Gauracturana Itana Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhupada Dvaita Gadada Siva Sati Gauracturana Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Rama, Hare Rama, 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Ram Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Goloka nana nana, Goloka nana trakate. Goloka nana nana, Goloka nana rate. Hey, Nante, Radhe. Jai Om Vishnu. Paramahamsa Acharya Shima Hillsborough, Sharanam Bhaktiranga Goswami Srila Prabhupada. ISKCON founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Acharya Srila Prabhupada. Say go Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Rama Nityananda, Shivai Gadadhar, Shiva Sri Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Shri Sri Radha Krishna Gopinath Sayana Kunda, Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai, Vrindavan Ki Jai, Mathura Ki Jai, Swami Ki Jai, Himanabhai Ki Jai, Srimati Lasade Ki Jai, Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Gaura Premananda Hari. All glorious, the assembled devotees, all glorious, the assembled devotees, all glorious, the assembled devotees. All glorious to Shri Guru Gauranga Srila Bhakti.
Bhava Mahadevagni Nirvapanam Shreya Kairavya Chandrikavitaranam Vidyavadu Jivanam Anandam Buddhi Vardhanam Pratipanam Pranamrita Swadanam Sarvatma Snapanam Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam Nam Namakari Bahudan Nija Sarva Shaktis Tatrapita Niyamita Smaranena Kala Etadrishita Vakripa Bhagavan Mamapi Durdaiva Midrishami Hajjani Nanuraga Trinadapi Sunichena Tarorapi Sahishuna Amani Namanadena Kirtaniya Sadahari Nadanam Najanam Nasundarim Kavitam Vajagadisha Kamaye Mama Janmani Janmani Ishvare Bhavatad Bhaktir Hoitaki Twai Ainanda Tanuja Kinkaram Patitam Mam Vishame Bhavam Buddha Kripayata Vabada Pankaja Stita Duli Sajushim Vachintaya Nayanam Galashu Daraya Varanam Gadgadurudai Gira Pulakarta Shitam Bhuvigna Tavanama Grahane Bhavishyati Yugayatam Namishena Chakshusha Pravashayatam Shunayatam Jagat Sarvam Govindam Virahename Ashlishyava Padamratam Banastumam Adarshanam Marma Hatakarotuva Yatatatava Vidadatulam Pato Mat Prananatastusa Evanapara. Victory to the Sri Krishna Sankirtan, which cleanses the heart of all the dust accumulated for years and extinguishes the fire of conditional life, of repeated birth and death. This Sankirtan movement is the prime benediction for humanity at large because it spreads the rays of the benediction moon. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases the ocean of transcendental bliss, and it enables us to fully taste the nectar for which we are always anxious. O my Lord, congregational chanting of your holy name can render all benediction to living beings, and thus you have hundreds and millions of names like Krishna and Govinda. In these transcendental names, you've invested all your transcendental energies. There are not even hard and fast rules for chanting these names. Oh, my Lord, out of kindness you enable us to easily approach you by your holy names, but I am so unfortunate that I have no attraction for them. One should chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking oneself lower than the straw in the street. One should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and should be ready to offer all respect to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. O Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor do I desire beautiful women, nor do I want any number of followers. I only want your causeless devotional service, birth after birth. O Son of Maharaj Nanda Krishna, I am your eternal servitor. If somehow or other I have fallen into the ocean of birth and death, please pick me up from this ocean of death and place as one of the atoms at your lotus feet. Oh, my Lord, when will my eyes be decorated with tears of love when I sing? When will my voice choke up? And when will the hairs of my body stand on end at the recitation of your name? Oh, Govinda, feeling your separation, I am considering a moment to be like 12 years or more. Tears are flowing